Mr. President, when Donald Trump was a private citizen during the last government shutdown, he said, and I quote, "Problems start from the top, and they have to get solved from the top. And the president's the leader, and he's got to get everybody in a room, and he's got to lead." That's what Donald Trump said when he was Citizen Trump. He's now the president. Now that he's the president, he has those shoes to wear. He refuses to step into them and step up. The only person who actually said maybe we need a good shutdown is President Trump. Although I have to say recently, the Office of Management and Budget Director Mick Mulvaney also said it was cool to shut down the government. Unbelievable. Definitely not cool. This attitude may explain why the president keeps shooting down bipartisan efforts to prevent a shutdown. Republicans control the House and the Senate. I don't know why we have to keep reminding Republicans that they control the House and the Senate. There is no reason for the majority leader and the speaker to enable this Trump shutdown to continue. There is no reason to wait on the president to tell them to do whatever or tell them what he believes, because Donald Trump is a changeling. He is incapable of being consistent. I witnessed this 2 weeks ago when I went to the White House with a bipartisan group of members of Congress to find a path forward to protect the Dreamers. During the meeting in front of all of us and on national TV for over 50 minutes, Donald Trump promised to sign whatever bipartisan compromise that Congress came up with. He said he'd take the heat. We had barely driven back to the Capitol before he went back on that promise. This pattern repeated on Friday when the Democratic leader discussed a broad bipartisan compromise with the president to keep the government open. And after appearing to agree on a framework, the president shortly thereafter said no, once again. This is Donald Trump's shutdown. It's important to understand who is responsible for his shutdown. He himself said it's the president who's supposed to be bringing everybody together. But frankly, it's more important to end this shutdown. It's time for Congress to lead. Congress is a separate branch of government, and we should start acting like it. We can come to a broad bipartisan agreement on nearly every part of a deal to end the shutdown. We can reauthorize the Children's Health Insurance Program that provides health insurance to 9 million children all across the country. We can fund community health centers that provide health care for literally hundreds of millions of people in our communities. We can protect the Dreamers. We can fully fund the Department of Defense and provide funding parity for critical domestic programs. Congress shouldn't wait around for the president to make up his mind. Let's do our jobs. I support passing a very short-term funding bill somewhere between 1 and 3 days, which we have proposed, to sustain the urgency in getting this done in as short a time as possible. So a multi-week extension of government funding that allows the president, the majority leader, and the speaker to kick the can down the road and pit one group against another is not the way to go. The Republicans continue to pit the Children's Health Insurance Program against Dreamers. They pit funding for troops against Dreamers, pitting one group after another, on and on. Are the Republicans saying we can only take care of one group or the other? Do we cut off the right arm or the left arm? We've seen this pitting one group against another strategy at work all week. Authorization for the Children's Health Insurance Program expired September 30th, months ago. But the majority leader waited until now to put it up for a vote because he hoped to use it as leverage to divide Democrats and leave Dreamers out in the cold, pitting one group against another. And just as a reminder, guess who spent months and months trying to take away health care from millions of Americans, and more months to provide the richest 1% of people and corporations in our country huge tax cuts, all behind closed doors. The Republicans, that's who. We could have and should have funded the children's health insurance program months ago. We could have come to a compromise on Dreamers months ago. The majority leader has come to the floor repeatedly to argue there is no urgency to protect the Dreamers or the DACA participants, that we have months to find a solution. Doesn't he know that more than 16,000 people have lost their DACA protections since Donald Trump cruelly and cynically ended the program in September? And every single day, 122 DACA recipients lose their status. These young lives are on hold. They are scared. They are afraid of being kicked out of the only country that they know and love. That is the United States of America. Over the past few days, we've heard the president and the majority leader continuously disrespecting these inspiring young people by referring to them as illegals. That's how you take away an individual's humanity, by categorizing them as one group or another, as illegals. I've met many of these DACA recipients. They are not illegals. They frankly are legally protected under the DACA program to be in the United States. They want to make a contribution to the only country that they know, America. Dreamers like Leonardo from Oregon, who came to my office in late December to share his immigrant story and why he's fighting to be able to stay in the United States. Leonardo came to our country with his siblings and his mom, who was fleeing an abusive marriage. Growing up, Leonardo hardly saw his mom, who took public transportation to work the night shift and slept most of the day. He told me that as he's gotten older and he had to work so hard to make ends meet, he truly appreciates the sacrifices his mom made to ensure that he had food and clothes. Like many young high school students, Leonardo dreamed of going to college. Because he was ineligible for financial aid as an undocumented student, he saw athletics as a path to pursue his dreams. Leonardo got a scholarship offer from a small school, but at precisely the moment he thought his dreams came true, he learned the school was unable to fulfill its promise because Leonardo was undocumented. Put yourself in his shoes. His heart was broken. Leonardo's life changed when he was able to sign up for DACA. He enrolled in community college to study chemistry and hopes to become a pharmacist one day. Leonardo told me that DACA didn't just allow him to access a better quality of life. He said it changed how he values himself as an individual and as a person, that he was more than his status, that he was a human being, not an illegal, that he was a human being. When I asked him why he came all this way to share his story, he said, I quote him, "What we're doing here really encompasses what it means to be an American. The idea that we have to fight for justice, that we have to fight for dignity, that equality surpasses any status, that our humanity surpasses any status." Thank you, Leonardo. I agree. This is a pivotal moment for Congress. Are we going to continue to bend to the whims of an unpredictable, mercurial, and unreliable president? Or will we come together on a bipartisan basis, behave like the separate branch of government that we are, and reauthorize the Children's Health Insurance Program, fund community health centers, protect Dreamers, and provide parity for defense and domestic programs in a long-term budget deal? I respect my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. What I don't respect is holding up this process, knowing full well that we can come up with a bipartisan way in 2 days, even 1 day, to end this shutdown. Mr. President, I yield the floor.